Today we're talking all about Hamilton's new short-term rental bylaw. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me again this week. It is an absolute pleasure to have you tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube or you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's topic is really interesting because a new bylaw, if it's passed, is going to have a serious effect on the landscape of Hamilton and its rentals. But before we get into that, if you're looking to buy, sell, or rent a home in Hamilton, you can go to the description below. There you're going to find a link that you'll be able to book an appointment with me at a time that is convenient for you. Let's dive into this. These short-term rental changes are a little crazy. I don't know if I have an opinion on it yet, but I'm going to explain exactly what it is. So this has been in discussion since 2017. And essentially what this bylaw is going to do is it's going to limit short-term rentals to primary residences only. So that means if you own currently a house that you don't live in and you're Airbnb-ing it, you can't do that anymore. They're not even going to give you an option of paying a licensing fee or anything like that. They're just straight up saying you can't do it, sell it, or convert it to a long-term rental. This is a shot at absentee landlords. So if you're from the GTA, you own a property here, or anybody really, I guess it doesn't have to be from GTA, just anybody that owns a property here they don't live in and they're operating as an Airbnb, the city's trying to get those broken up so that way they can either have them as extra long-term rental units or come on the market as sales for homeowners to purchase. So with this, they're planning to introduce a new licensing that's obviously going to include fees, because how dare somebody do something in Hamilton without the city putting their hand in your pocket when you're trying to do, any sort of business. But you're gonna have to register and you're gonna have to get an inspection. So this will come into effect in June if it's passed, and you will be fined if you don't comply with these set out rules. So if you have a property rented as an Airbnb and you keep operating it, you're going to be susceptible to fines unless it's in your primary residence. Why are they doing this? So right now there's more than 1,300 Airbnbs in Hamilton, and the city's seeing a shortage of not only rental units, but just homes in general. I know we're not feeling it right now because the market's not as crazy with resales as it was before, but that's just one aspect of it. Because like I said, the rentals of the shortage of long-term rentals in Hamilton has been an issue over the last 2 years, especially lately with the interest rates rising. A lot of people that would have been homeowners in 2022 instead were forced to either renew or sign a lease somewhere else because they couldn't afford to purchase with the raising interest rates. So it really created a lot of renters and really put pressure on the rental market in Hamilton. So there's also been complaints, obviously, with Airbnbs about safety and noise because some of these houses are just straight up party houses. Somebody rents a house for the weekend or one night, throw a party there, then they leave. So to the people living in that neighborhood, that's obviously not fair. One city councilor even went as far to say that, they're not real neighbors and they're breaking up the community. But keep in mind, the same city councilor has an Airbnb in their basement, which will be allowed to continue operating after this. So what are some of the pros of this? Essentially, the pro, in my opinion, it's going to provide more rental units for people in Hamilton that want to live in Hamilton, not necessarily just visit. It could also create more inventory on the market, providing more options for buyers, which would be great. So those are two really good options. Another thing is it's going to force people to abide by certain safety criteria when they apply for the registration and pay the fees. So it's just going to make things safer if they're operating it, which is always good because safety is number one. Cons, obviously, is going to be your loss of income. So where I could see this really having a negative effect is on people if you own it and it's in your house and you're doing it, that's one thing. Okay, you're going to lose a little bit of money because now you pay a licensing fee, which we don't know what the licensing fee is going to be yet. So you lose a little bit of money there. But if you own one that you rent out, like I have a friend that rents one out, he makes $4,000 to $6,000 a month renting out this place as an Airbnb. If he has to go back to putting it to a long-term rental, he was getting $2,600 a month. So this is a big cut in somebody's income if they're forced to turn it into a long-term rental. How will this affect the real estate market? if somebody's forced, so I want to talk about how it's going to affect the real estate market. But if somebody's forced to go to a long-term rental and that doesn't sustain their mortgage, they're going to be forced to sell it. So it could create more inventory on the market. And unfortunately, if somebody had purchased one in late 2021, early 2022, they're going to have to sell the property at a loss if they can't afford to carry it. As well, you have people that have zero intention of being a landlord. They just want to buy it, rent it out, let Airbnb or Verbo or whatever take care of everything. They don't want to be hands-on at all. So I think we're going to see a lot more houses pop up for sale that were originally Airbnbs. I think we're going to see a lot more long-term rentals pop up. I also think we're going to see a lot of backlash on this, but I think it's going to have definitely a big effect on a lot of places in the city. Like there's a lot of nice neighborhoods, downtown Hamilton, Kirkendall and all that have a lot of these short-term stays that now are going to be turned into long-term rental units, which could be better for the community. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm actually really curious to know what your opinions are on this. So feel free to drop a comment below because I'm so curious what you think about these changes, whether they're good, whether they're bad. Like I said, I don't really know if I have an opinion yet. We'll have to kind of see how this plays out. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you again next week.